You're talking about in DHS and the Home Services Program? Yeah, where is that money? That's federal money. We're establishing a new fund there to put the receipts from the Home Services Program Medicaid match into a special fund where we will then respend federal money. That's the way you accelerate the receipt of federal money. Yeah, it's sometimes called churning.
Going back to the unpaid bills for a second, will the governor have any proposal for closing loopholes or changing taxes to free up money for that purpose?
I think we should let him speak for himself on that tomorrow. You want to add anything, Jay?
How do you define real estate cartel?
Wait a second.
The governor's made it clear that he thinks we need to take a comprehensive look at the loopholes. He'll say more about that tomorrow. But certainly, if you close a loophole, you have more money to pay the bills.
Jack, what about on the pensions? Are you guys going to be looking at proposing cost shifting and having local school districts pick up more of the cost of teachers' pensions?
Well, as Jerry said, I think everything's on the table. This is very complicated. We have constitution. We have a state constitution that we have to think about, so we don't do something that's unconstitutional. We have a collective bargaining agreement that ends June 30th that we're in the midst of negotiations. Some of these changes will be negotiated agreements. Some will be changes in state statute. We need to make sure everything's constitutional. When you're negotiating, as I think Eric Madeir, the general counsel for the Senate president, said, you can negotiate something. You can negotiate a benefit. You give them something, you get something in return. So this is all very complicated. We're working on it. We have a working group that each caucus is represented on that working group, and we're also meeting with stakeholders, including business groups, labor, and others. So it's a complicated process, but we want to have a framework this session to have pension reform.
Jack, when you go department by department and take a look at the cuts both in expenditures and in personnel, a number of the departments, like corrections, are making up the bulk of the reductions, and quite a few of them are showing increases, both in staff and expenditures. How do you explain that? Why not just make sure everything is cut, in addition to the big cuts in corrections?
Well, I don't know what agencies are going up. The only one I'm aware of is education.
Gaming.
There may be veterans. Well, gaming
Management and budget, ICC.
Gaming has to go up because with video gaming coming online and the 10th license coming online, you need more people there to regulate the gaming industry. And so we had to do that in order to generate the revenue that those will generate for the state.
There are at least a half a dozen others, perhaps more. I mean, you want me to go and name every one of them for you?
We said most agencies, the goal was 9%. We didn't say every agency would. But most agencies are, and on their general revenue. If you're looking at total funds, that might be different. This is on the general revenue fund side. Most agencies, the goal was to cut 9%. Not every agency got there. That's part of what this is. The budget is a blueprint. It's a prioritization of the governor. So, for example, education. We held that even, actually increased it a little bit because we think that's important. That meant something else had to be cut a little bit more. So that's how we did it, and that's what we did. We said most. We can't say everybody. We said most agencies. The goal was 9%.
On the pension, this number does not assume that you are able to push pension costs back to school districts.
That's correct.
Will the governor propose that?
Actually, has a concern with the closure of these adult transition centers, that's going to lead to about 1,000 inmates going out to the general population. They say that's going to close the threat to all the state. Do you guys see that happening at all?
Well, these adult transition centers, most of these people, they're in this transition center, which is kind of like a halfway house. Most of them have jobs. Some are in drug treatment programs. They're low-level offenders, and they are going to still be under electronic detention when these adult transition centers close. It's like an ankle bracelet, electronic monitoring.
Then they won't receive services that'll help.
They'll still receive the services. The adult transition center will be closed.
Is there money in this budget for the regional offices of education?
For what?
The regional offices of education?
There is. It's under PPRT, as we did in this year's budget. Monique. prison population is actually declining.
By how much, and what are you doing to make sure that number goes down lower?
Well, we'll continue to work on that, but the trend right now is it has declined somewhat over the last year.
Just file 27 says 753 fewer jobs, the difference. But I went through and added it up, and it's 1474 according to the agency by LinkedIn. What number is correct? And how do you explain such huge losses in DHS, Department of Corrections, and Criminal Justice?
The number on the slide is correct. Many of the decreases are concentrated in the areas where there are going to be facility closures. That's correct.
Well, it says 753 there, but then 953 fewer headcount at DOC alone.
Yeah, there are closures at DOC, so that's where a lot of the reductions are concentrated. There are a lot of them that are concentrated in the Department of Human Services as well. But this is the net figure across all agencies, all funds.
Is there any new revenue in this budget?
No, the budget under the budgeting results law is required now to assume only existing revenue sources, and that's what we did.
The governor won't be proposing any new revenue sources tomorrow.
I mean, what the governor's free to propose things tomorrow. Nothing in the budget law keeps him from proposing something. But what we budgeted is existing revenue sources.
Right, I understand that. Will cigarette tax, will he propose any of those?
No, not tomorrow.
Is there any bonding, new bonding in this budget?
We're continuing to carry out the Illinois Jobs Now program and issue new debt under that program. That debt is all paid for from the Capital Projects Fund, which is not part of the General Revenue Fund. So it has its own revenue source.
Well, what's the 4.3 additional authorization you're looking for?
That's the third year of the authorization of the capital program that was passed in '09. When that plan was passed, the appropriation was passed for the full amount, but the General Assembly decided to authorize the bonds in thirds, at a time. So that's the third round of the authorization to issue the bonds.
This would be 4.3 billion of Illinois general obligation bonds?
Yes. Yes.
Is there any water bonds in here too? Any water bonds?
The water bond is a new proposal over and above the Illinois Jobs Now program, but it's not yet included in the budget. As Jack pointed out, there will need to be a discussion with the General Assembly about identifying a revenue source before those bonds are authorized or appropriated. Those three things that he indicated were $1 billion each. So those proposals are for $3 billion in new capital authorization.
So that's above and beyond the 33 billion overall.
That's above and beyond the capital program. Yeah, I mean, it took us 10 years to put together that capital program, and I think the governor believes that you shouldn't wait another 10 years to continue to expand your capital program when there are additional needs. So we think that we're seeking the last round of authorization on the bonds, and it's time to think about what we should be doing next.
Your own three-year projection shows deficit, operating deficit this fiscal year. Is the governor fully committed to a balanced budget for FY13, an actually balanced budget?
The three-year projection was just that, a projection, and these new numbers show a surplus, and certainly he's committed to living within the available resources.
And then does that include, last year we had some reduction in VOs, et cetera, but no total VOs. Does that include a possible total VO? Jack?
Well, certainly, this is the governor's proposed budget. I mean, I think we're way early in the process to talk about vetoes. Certainly, that's something that the governor has the ability to do, but I think we're way too early in the process to talk about potential vetoes.
Could you just elaborate a bit? You talked about how the Casino Control Commission group has to implement video gambling. That's going to take more personnel. Why the additional personnel in the DOC?
Well, the Department of Transportation is in the middle of implementing the largest capital program in the history of Illinois. So they have to hire people in order to fulfill the capital bill. Those would be people that are paid for through the road fund, so that's an other state fund. It's not the general revenue fund.